Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. You haven't seen me do a review like this in front of the camera for a while. The last couple of reviews I recorded a long time ago, but I've only just managed to bring the Bringing It Home series up to date. But in this video we're looking at something interesting. We're looking at none other than the MDR from Silverback Airsoft. I first saw this rifle, which was a 3D printed prototype, as probably many others did, at IWA in Nuremberg, Germany. They were pushing the SRS at the time. I don't know if the TAC 41 was announced at the time. It was like 2018, maybe before. But they had this 3D printed prototype of this rifle, and it was going to be the first electronic rifle really that they've built with the Desert Tech brand. They've obviously done other little AEGs before, but this is going to be their first proper, built from the ground up, electric rifle. But fast forward about 5 or 6 years, I can't remember the exact date when we went and saw this thing, but it's been a long time in the making, and for a long time they didn't really update us with what was going on inside it, what sort of technology they were going to be using, and then things started to trickle out. It looked like a Systema type cylinder. They were posting pictures of the gearbox and gears, and then the hype started gathering around this rifle. When I initially heard that they'd given a rough release date, and it was coming out in 2023, I imagined this rifle was going to be a lot higher priced. And when it came in at like $599 or £600, especially here in the UK, I was like, bloody hell, that's pretty cheap. I was expecting it to be above or even close to the £1,000 mark. However, as I've handled it, the technology in this thing looks great. I haven't had a massive amount of time with it, but I can see why that price is what it is. So this is the box. So this is a rifle, a multi-caliber rifle from Desert Tech in the USA. It stands for Micro Dynamic Rifle, and this one that's come out from Silverback is chambered, well, the 308 version. So they use like a 308 7.62 by 51 SR25 style magazine. These are the spare magazines I bought for it as well. Packaging is obviously battered to hell. As long as the magazines are safe, I really don't care. But like an SR25 style magazine, there's probably a lot of brands out there that will fit with the MDR. It's not like the Aries one where the feed's in the middle. There's different types. So I think G&G, A&K. You can even get PTS mags for these things. But I picked up a load of mags as well, just so I had the proper Silverback mag. So coming from a background in Systema stuff, the last thing I wanted to do was use an aftermarket magazine and have feeding trouble, especially with the way that cylinder works. If you're watching this video, you're probably already up to speed on how the cylinder works, but basically everything is contained in the cylinder. On the piston head, there's a little O-ring that sits on like a nozzle, and as the piston comes back, it draws the nozzle back and eventually it breaks contact, and then the nozzle comes forward on the spring pressure and loads the round ahead of the piston coming down the cylinder. So there's no tappet plate, anything like that. And I can see why they've done it this way, because it's just a lot easier than having to design a gearbox that takes a tappet plate and you've got different points of failure. But we'll see how that goes. And if I'm talking, I'll try and put chapters at the bottom of this video, because I am going to rabbit on about different things, this, that, and the other, and I think it's it deserves it. So I'm not going to show you the unboxing just because it's going to be a pain to film, but let's get the thing out of the box. First things first. So first things first, you get a nice manual from Silverback. They're doing brilliant manuals. They always have done, especially for their Desert Tech products, as well as video guides on their YouTube channel showing how to do things. So that is a massive plus in my book. No one else does it similar to the way they do it. There's obviously a sheet here with just pieces of info where it was purchased from. I purchased this from Airsoft here in the UK. They're up in Scotland. In the box, of course, you get the MDR. Now, I went with a tan version. I wasn't a big fan of the two-tone look, and the black just looked a bit plain Jane to me, and I thought the tan was the best. It's kind of like a habit I have with different rifles, like Scars. I think it look better in tan. Probably going against the grain there, but here it is. And the first thing I noticed pulling this thing out of the box is how light it is. But not light as in, oh, it's cheap and plasticky or anything like that. You can just tell that for this obviously aluminium extrusion that they've made the rifle out of, they've used a high quality aluminium there, and it's light, but it's not, like I say, it's not light to the point where it feels tacky or cheap. There are a couple of issues I did see straight away. Now on the receiver here, I don't know if you'll see this will come across on camera, but my receiver is really loose, and I'm not sure in how, like I say, how easy that comes out on camera, but it's a lot. You know, as you move it, there's probably about a 3mm gap between the top receiver and the grip, and there's no way that I've found to sort of tighten that up. And it's a pain because I can feel it rocking as I'm holding the rifle. I can feel the rifle tilting to either side. That's probably going to be an issue. The other one really was the handguard. Now, I have tested these screws to make sure they're tight, and they are. I know the real MDRs suffer this with the handguards, which is why you can't put any type of zeroing accessory on there, like lasers or anything like that, because they won't hold the zero. But it is really bad. So I'll have to see if I can do something with that to try and tighten that up. But you know, the main upper receiver part of it is obviously aluminium, a very high quality aluminium, some of the best I've seen, to be honest, for an extrusion. And the rest of it is obviously polymer. It's a ball put rifle, of course, you probably gathered that already, with a fire selector fan on both sides, just behind the trigger here. It does click okay, but the metal that they've used for the selector does feel really, really cheap and nasty, as well as the cocking handle on either side there, and the dust covers. They just feel like the cheapest monkey metal going. Like, I've seen better metal on like Simers. It really is horrible. And I am nitpicking there, but you know, you're watching this review because you want my honest opinion. And what I find with Silverback products is not many people out there that do reviews will give you an honest opinion. But I'm just going to tell you exactly how it is. This metal's crap, the charging handle metal's crap, and the fire selector metal's crap. Is it going to break the rifle for me? No. I'm sure I could get used to it. But the magazine release, you've actually got 3 of them. So you've got on either side of the lower handguard here in front of the trigger, you can push it like an AR. So you push that button and I can pull the magazine out, put it back into place. You've also got one at the back behind the front, the pistol grip here, and you can basically press this, and it's very comfortable and easy to do. What I have noticed on here, there's a little separate metal piece that attaches to the mag release, which says 308 on it. So I imagine that's going to be a part where they just change that piece out and they'll do like a 5.56 version for the normal Stanag type magazines. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the pins out on the lower, put a battery in. You do get this tool which makes pulling the lower really easy, but you cannot put a battery in unless you completely strip the gun in half. So you've got a pin on the front here, which is the loosest pin of the handguard. If it just so happens that anyone at Silverback Airsoft is watching, if you can just drop a comment in the comments below, or if you've got one of these MDRs, if your receiver's the same, because it really is not good at all. So you drop the lower receiver off there, so the gun splits in 2, much like their SRSs and everything else, and you've got the space for the battery that goes in the top here. Prior to buying this, everybody seems to be moaning about batteries. I have got some 11.1 stick type AK batteries here, which I bought for my LCT. I haven't got round to putting them on a Dean's yet, so we'll see if this drops in. I don't think it will. I think it's just a little bit too wide. So I think it is correct where people are saying that getting a battery to fit this thing is going to be a pain. These actually aren't too bad. I think they're a little bit wider than the normal AK style 11.1s, which I think should fit down there just fine. It's literally just like a mil oversized, and I don't want to force it in and break the battery. So we'll have to get creative here. So all I'm doing here is I've just popped the rear sling point out there, just so I can get this stock butt pad off. Otherwise, we're going to struggle to test this thing until I can order in a new battery. We'll just pop the lower back on here. So obviously not going to hold on the back, but at least we've got access to the Dean's connector. And we'll see how this thing sounds. So it might sound a little bit different because the back's open here, but we've got semi-auto. Sorry if I'm blasting the microphone there, but I have noticed this in other videos as well, that the gearbox sounds really scratchy, like it's not meshing right, or something's like rubbing together. If you've spent a lot of time around electric rifles, you'll understand what this sounds like. It's just like a really meshy, scratchy noise. So I'm not sure whether the gearbox can be re-shimmed to make it smoother. Who knows? But at least we're going to be able to chrono this thing and see what it's shooting at. The report from Land Warrior said 330, so we're going to find out if that's correct. You are meant to get 2 springs in the box with these things, is what people have said. The only spring that I got in the box was a 40 Newton meter spring, which I think is a low-powered spring. So if other people in the UK can confirm, are you meant to get the higher DMR-powered springs in the box in the UK? If yes, then it looks like Land Warrior have took it out for whatever reason. Perhaps they want to make sure people aren't, using hot guns on site, which I can understand, especially when the gun shoots full auto. It is a quick spring change. Perhaps they've done it to sort of protect themselves, people just changing and shooting, 400 on full auto, which will get you in a bit of hot water here. So perhaps that's why. The box did have the seal broken when I received it. Of course, they do their own testing, which doesn't bother me in the slightest. So we'll get to chronoing. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop it on the overhead camera. We're going to take a closer look at this thing. Then we'll look at the chrono results. And then I'll come back on camera and tell you my final thoughts. So in the box, as well as the MDR, we get a different trigger board, which is a semi-auto only one. We get some tools here for taking the gun apart. We get a PCB jumper. We get a high nub for using heavier BBs. And we do get a pretty cool tool here for popping the pins out, which does make it a lot easier. It looks like a TAC 41 bolt handle, which it probably is. The manual, we'll just go over quickly here so you can see it a little bit better. It is presented really well here. Everything that you need to know. How to take the bits and pieces apart, how to put the battery in. That give you the dimensions here of the battery. So finding one, obviously I'm going to have a look at Component Shop after doing this video and find some batteries and order a load of them. We could see here how to do bits and pieces. These are all the links to the videos on their YouTube, which you can scan. It will take you to those. Breakdown of the parts and digital version of the manual. Here is the rifle. I'm hoping it will fit into shot. If it doesn't, I think we can... No, we can't zoom out. Just about fits in here. Here's the MDR. This is the tan one. I thought the black just looked a bit too dark to me. And, to be honest with you, I'm probably going to coat this thing with Cerakote. How the polymers will stack up to that, I don't know. Maybe a project for another day. But I'm kind of liking the idea of doing a grey one, like my MTR DMR. This is done in like a Magpul grey, so maybe a dark grey like that will look nice. But here it is. I'm hoping this comes through nice and clearly for you. I'm trying to shoot it in 4K. Patented multi-caliber, West Valley, City. I'm guessing that's Utah. There's the little 308 marking that I was talking about earlier. So whether they'll just swap that out for a different one to take 5.56 mags, who knows. Desert Tech markings on the front and the back. They do have a QD sling swivel point here for a sling, but nowhere apart from this little nub in here, unless they expect you to put M-lock accessories on to take a sling. There's nothing anywhere to attach a front sling point if you're using like a 2 or a 3-point sling. And to be honest, you wouldn't use a 1-point sling on the back here. It just wouldn't make any sense. The rifle wouldn't sit right on your person. Mag releases can be found on both sides here in front of the trigger guard. Got the fire selector, which does click into place, but it is quite loose. and not a very strong click on that. The metal seems to be made of the same metal as the charging handles and these dust covers, which I'm not sure if it will come over on camera. They're obviously cast parts, cheap. If a aftermarket parts company does do a CNC version of this in aluminium, I can guarantee, I don't care how much it is, as long as it's not the price of the gun, I'll be buying them, because it's just nice to have nice parts. I think even a 3D printed part would have been better and felt better quality. You've got the second mag release just behind the pistol grip here, which you push in to remove the magazine. Let's have a quick look. In fact, we'll flip the rifle over first. We've got Desert Tech LLC, MDR-X, and then the serial number, this one being 2204. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this on camera now, but it's just, to me, it's just a bit unacceptable, really. It's the worst quality point on the rifle, barring the handguard, which, let me move this into shot here, is so loose, and those screws are tight. So I imagine this could just be this rifle's issue, and something might not be going here, it might not be gripping properly, which I'll have a look at. The magazines, got the markings on there, 7.62 by 51. These are extremely easy to take apart. I even think you can use this. No, you can't use that tool. But you like pull that back, that pops out. You can pull the casing out. They're really easy to maintain and look after, which is good. I don't think they're a big magazine. I think they're like 70 rounds, give or take, off memory. The spare spring that came in the box is a 40 Newton meter spring. So probably a low powered spring. But the magazine fits in nicely, clicks in, there's no real wobble on it at all. You can use that mag release, or you can use the forward mag releases. It doesn't drop under its own weight, unless you, as you're pressing the button, you knock the magazine, it'll eventually fall out. The butt pad here does have a sort of softer, it's like a hard rubbery texture to it. It is quite grippy, which is nice. Desert Tech do actually do a cheap piece like foam pad that you can buy. I'm not sure what this bit does here, whether it's something to do with the charging handle or not, but it does move as if it comes out. So I'm not sure what that's for. So I suppose we'll find out at a later date. To remove the barrel and stuff, of course, we've got the fixing bits and pieces here. So let's pull the handguard off. The charging handles don't have any function whatsoever. I imagine they're just there because I don't know why I'm trying to use a bloody tweezers. I've got this tool. I can punch it out. Pull that out. Let's loosen the two screws off. It's a T25. And we can slide the handguard off, or we should be able to. There we go. So this has a really long inner barrel here. So it starts here. So there's going to be plenty of barrel length there to give you the speed. Having dealt with guns with long barrels before, especially bullpups like the RDB, Aries really had to fit a weak powered spring to get the velocity down, which obviously could then caused issues and timing issues with the gearbox. What I'll probably do is I'll reduce the barrel and then probably put a higher powered spring in to bring it back up to that 330, 340 feet per second, and just have the gearbox clock properly. So to pull the barrel out, we'll see, is it a T25 still? No, it's slightly bigger. Or is it an Allen key? I think it's an Allen key actually. Let's use the stuff that's provided. So we've got the big Allen key that comes with it. We're going to loosen the barrel off. This is a 5mm Allen key. Metric, of course. So loosen those screws off. Then we can turn the locking tab to unlock, and the barrel will just slide out here. I'm pretty sure I saw pictures of an MDR that had a gas block that looked a little bit more realistic. This is not normally how they look. Blue hop in it, an odd colour to go with there, but neither here nor there. So there's like 36 increments on the hop. We can see it coming down there, but there's not a massive amount of hop there. I did also see reports that when you're turning this down, it cams the nub to the right, so you have to turn it back one. I don't know if that's, you know, product wide or whether it was just that one gentleman's gun. Nice positive clicks. I do like that. It's very tactile. You know, you'll both hear it and feel it on the field when you're turning it. 40mm counterclockwise thread. The flash hider is very, very nice. So that's the barrel and how easy it comes out. There will, of course, being Silverback, do loads of different barrel kits, I imagine. So we'll pop that back to lock. And then I probably need to look up what they say for the torque settings, because I do have a little torque wrench to make sure I'm getting the torque settings right. If they have announced that, drop it down in the comments below. So you've got your high nub in the pack, you've got your PCB jumper, you've got some tools, which is nice. They are just kind of thrown into a little bag here, which isn't a problem. Not like the TAC 41, which has a little space built in the stock to hold your tools. So let's see if reseating this handguard, we can get it a little bit better. So it doesn't want to go back on. Probably because it's just not lining up properly. There we go. Let's pop the pin in. We have to tap that in. Is it not going to go in? Give it a tap. There we go. Let's get that T25. 27, 25, and let's torque this up. Just try and keep it centered. I am wrenching down on this. Again, torque settings for these screws would be nice. Oh, it still moves, but it is better. So pulling it off, putting it back on again, reseating it has solved the issue. So perhaps something in the handguard wasn't seated properly. What I recommend doing is, if you have that problem, pull it off, put it back on, pop the pin in, do the screws up, and it has made it better. It's not perfect. Oh, it did just move then. So I think it's having trouble grabbing onto that aluminium receiver and sort of gripping tight so it doesn't move. But it's not the end of the world. So to get access to the battery section, we pop 3 pins out. Flip this round so you can see. One, 2, and 3. And that just drops off. That is cool. Got the trigger, which uses a micro switch, which is very good. Why, the trigger is very, very good indeed. I do like the trigger on this thing. So I reckon it'd be really easy to mod this trigger to take up or take away the slack. We could either just glue like a little tab on there, or we could drill and thread it and have a grub screw and have it adjustable, which is probably the best way to do it. The select mechanism is really simple indeed, and the trigger bar is nice and smooth. Oh, sorry. Mag release is something that's difficult to get right on bullpups, but they've managed to do it, and it seems to work extremely well. So you'll see it pulls the tab out like that. Magazine fits in there nice. Seeing these are already damaged here. Probably from slapping the mag in. Hopefully that's not a crucial part there. It's very thin plastic. For a brand new gun, damage already. Not a good start, but hopefully it's not super crucial. We have the gearbox here. This is where you'll put your PCB jumpers on. We've got the space for the battery on top of the cylinder there. It's probably going to be hard to see. And we've got the quick change cylinder. I'm wondering what tool we use there. Perhaps it's the same Allen key. It's a triangular shape, but it could sit the 3 flutes of the Allen key. Yep, so the Allen key does work just fine. We push, turn, and the spring pops out there, and you can replace it. These seem to be just normal AEG springs, which is good because they're easy to get. So we'll probably do a strip down that gearbox at a later date. If you want me to do it, I'll do it. But the system that they've used here is very cool. The aluminium extrusion is really high quality. Just a shame about this lower. I know I keep going on about it. But we can pop the lower back on there like so. Pop the 3 pins in. And there we have it. So, choices of optic are obviously going to be really easy because we've got this rail here. I wouldn't fit anything that needs to be zeroed on this guard or the M-lock. With the way the M-lock moves about, you can't rely on it at all. And with any kind of military and law enforcement testing, that would fail, much like the MCX did. But, you know, we could put like an EOTech on here. I've got an old EOTech. That would suit it pretty well if we're doing close engagements, and if we leave it at the 330, if we want to DMR it, of course, we would probably want to fit something like a short dot like this one. This is just an example. This is the one that came with the Ares AR308. I've just popped it on there because it was a kind of like a tannish bronzish colour. Looks really cool indeed. I think what we're going to do for my build, I'm going to shorten it with the Micron handguard and fit this CWS suppressor with this cover on there, and just bump the power up, have it nice and reliable on the feed, and then just shorten the barrel to cater for the power, whether we run it as a DMR or we run it as a battle rifle. So that's you know, always a choice. So the way that the box was cut that this came in seems to suggest that obviously the 5.56 variant's on the way because there's space for like a Stanag type mag in there. There's also a cutout in the box for a Micron handguard, so I presume they're going to come out with that as well. It would make sense for them. They always do well with the accessories, different barrel lengths, different handguards, different mags. The possibilities are indeed endless. They've also got a different cylinder coming out because this one's ported, but they've got 100% cylinder coming out that has no ports on it for more airflow, which will help with those that are running them as DMRs and they want a bit more in their cylinder ratio to barrel. So a bit more airflow for you, carrying those heavy BBs. I think this is going to be a solid performer. I'm going to try and get out somewhere and record some footage. Obviously, the areas that I've got access to around here, I can't record what I'm doing. It's just not set up for it. So perhaps I can get it out to Thurlaston or something like that. Or if anyone's in the local Midlands surrounding area and knows of anywhere I can take it. I've been looking for a while, but nothing's popped up. They're all airgun centres and they tend not to allow airsoft as a rule. But we'll get back on camera final thoughts and we'll wrap this review up, and then we'll see about doing other videos for this platform as well. So you've seen there on the Chrono test, it's about a joule. It's quite consistent for an out-the-box gun. Of course, pulling the cylinder apart, just putting a bit of high-quality grease in there. I've found with any gun, doesn't matter who it's from, tends to just get everything a little bit more consistent. But it's quite consistent out of the box, which is good. Full auto is 15 rounds a second, roughly, which is respectable. You know, this gun, if you bought it from the same place I did, is ready to skirmish out of the box. You haven't got to change the power, you haven't got to go up or down, and you can literally, once you find a battery that fits, slap one in there and away you go on the day. So I did buy a bunch of mags of this because I do plan to use it. I do plan on changing it. I'm probably going to go with the Micron handguard and shorten the barrel with a suppressor, just because this floppy handguard all the way out the front here is no use to me whatsoever. We'll see if we can find a fix for that. The receiver is super wobbly. The holes that these mounting pins go through are like oblong, and the hole for the pin on the handguard, they're oblong as well. So there's no precision there in terms of getting that any better. I really am at a bit of a loss with that. I don't know how to tackle that just yet. Perhaps I'll have to put something out there, and if it is an issue, hopefully we can get it resolved with Silverback. One thing I didn't go over, obviously, when I was in front of the camera, was the hop, which I should have done the top-down camera anyway. Changing that through the hole provided there is a bit of sticky, not the greatest. So what I'll just say is just take that one side off, and then you can adjust the hop a lot easier. What I have seen a few others doing, including Red Wolf, was taking both sides off. So you pull the left and the right side off, and you can basically use like a pincer style with your fingers to turn the hop. That really didn't make any difference to me. I think just take the one side off and you should be able to adjust it just fine. They do come off and go back on very, very easily. The longevity of that part we'll find out down the line, because it does feel quite cheap. But you know, the markings on it are great. The colour on it's great. It's really comfortable. It is a little bit back heavy. I did try putting a suppressor on here, and it did balance the weight out. It moved the centre balance point to literally just above where the pistol grip is. The centre balance point at the moment is about where this black rubber piece is on the rail. You'll see here, with a nice suppressor on the front, it moved to about here, which did make it a little bit more comfortable. It is a little bit back heavy at the moment. But this is a cool rifle. I think I'm going to do a full series of videos on this rifle. We'll do some stuff with it. Maybe some hot fixes. We'll pull the gearbox apart, see how that works, see if we can get that gear mesh. That gear mesh, especially, it's amplified in the bullpup just because, you know, you're firing it like this, your ear's right next to the gearbox. So when I'm firing it in the room and I've got it kind of out in front of me like that and I'm firing a semi-auto, it doesn't sound too bad. But when you're firing it like this and you're cheeking the rifle, the sound from the gearbox is just, it's not a nice sound whatsoever. So I think shimming needs to be adjusted there. It just sounds really meshy. It's a hard sound to put across to you in description on camera. If you're going to pick one of these up, you'll pick it up straight away. Most users will probably buy one and not notice a difference if you're used to bolt actions and stuff from Silverback. Having owned almost every brand of every electric gun out there, and I do have a lot of electric guns, a lot of them are smoother. In fact, most of them are smoother. So we'll delve into it and we'll see what we can do. Thanks for tuning to this first video on the MDR. Let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. It does look on camera, looking at the screen coming back at me now, it looks really unwieldy, but I assure you it's not. It's really comfortable. The weight balance is good as well. It's not heavy. Obviously, we haven't got any optics and stuff on there, but you'll have seen in the top-down camera, I did try a few different things to see how it looked. Thanks for tuning this video. I'll see you in the next one. What do you think we should do a video on next with this Silverback MDR? Drop it down in the comments below and I'll try and do my best to cover that for you. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. And of course, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe and we'll see you later on. Bye-bye.